My teacher in architecture school used to remind us that of this very famous quote that we should never forget when we are designing. A great building starts with the immeasurable. It goes through measurable means when it is under design, and in the end, it must be unmeasured. What it is telling us is that what we design is beyond the tangible. It is the intangible that must concern us. Definitions of architecture have been very difficult to pin down because of the ambivalence of a profession that historically have been suspended between art and aesthetics versus utility and function. Hence, the role of architecture has always created a lot of problems. So consider, for example, the definition of architecture by a famous historian, Pevsner, when he says that a bicycle shed is a building, Lincoln Cathedral is a piece of architecture. But evidently, the Lincoln Cathedral or any other cathedral for that matter is also a building. The architect builds, but he also does something more. How is this more to be considered? Pevsner goes on to argue that what distinguishes a work of architecture from any other buildings is that they are designed with a view to aesthetic appeal. Now, this conception of architecture as an aesthetic object has led to a lot of problems as well, because a cathedral is not simply a functional building overlaid with symbolic intent. A cathedral does not merely have decoration to make it into an art object, because a cathedral speaks of the cosmological understanding of the universe at a particular point in time. It speaks of the relationship between reason and faith and the promise of spiritual shelter, for example. Hence, a cathedral is a physical structure, but it has a metaphysical dimension, and it is the meaning that it embodies that makes it a work of architecture, and not the form. However, in today's formal approach to design, we are seeing architects dressing up boxes as art objects. So in effect, what we are getting is decorated sheds. But art and architecture have always enjoyed an ongoing attraction to one another from historical times to contemporary times. But now, ours is an age where art looks more and more like architecture, and architecture looks as if it is art. So in this age of immersive installation and monumentally skilled artwork, art becomes participatory. And architects are borrowing from the creative process of artists and sculptors. So art and architecture are attracted to each other for various reasons. Architecture is attracted to art because of its perception that art is a potentially subversive activity, free from any utilitarian concerns and economic needs. Whereas architecture sees art as something that is very much more part of life. This is the sculptor's Chinese dissident artist Ai Weiwei's installation at the old prison grounds of Alcatraz. Here he uses the architectural spaces as a backdrop to showcase the abuse of political power. And you see a paper dragon making its way out of the concrete walls of Alcatraz. And art uses architecture for its own effects. At the same time, governments and corporations are using this art-architecture connection to brand cities and to attract businesses. So we get new art galleries, concert halls, and museums, and art festivals built in every city. Every city wants to have its own museum of modern art. So we are witnessing a very interesting phenomenon where in our age of Instagrams, the pictorial and the experiential cannot be separated. And the general public and designers are embracing this condition fully. Evidently, we cannot reduce understanding of space to mere pictorial form. But if the pictorial and space come together, the results are truly stunning. But usually they don't, because many of today's buildings privilege formal expression above all else. And many have called this spectacular spectatorship. These buildings are always out of context, and they can exist anywhere in the world, from Bilbao to Bangalore to Bangkok. However, architecture is truly an experiential medium. It is the space that matters, and it is the way we move through the space and how we see the site and the surroundings. I shall illustrate with a few of our projects, very simple buildings. This is a house in Singapore. The external of the house is not an architectural experience. It is going through the door at the bottom right-hand corner that makes it an architectural encounter. Once you pass through the threshold of the door, you are not entering into a space. You are entering into another realm. And here we place the swimming pool in such a way that it appears as if the sea is flowing right into the house itself. And because Singapore is such a dense place, privacy is an issue, so we created a cantilever screen to give privacy to the occupants. And on top of this screen, we place a series of shading devices so that you are shaded when you are swimming in the pool. So the house is all about this visual connection that you get that extends beyond the property. In effect, the swimming pool and the courtyard becomes an outdoor room. So that negative space itself becomes another room. But the most important thing for us is that every space in the house relates to other spaces. So for example, in the family room, you can see the roof terrace, you can see the library, and you can see the courtyard below. So for us, the notion of architecture is fundamentally rooted in the value of space over form. The next project is a hotel in the Indian hill town of Dharamshala. This is the site of the Tibetan government in exile, as well as the residence of the spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama. And on this site, you get majestic views of the mountain range. But we are not allowed to cut any trees on this site. But luckily for us, there is the remnants of a cricket ground that has been left over by the British Army. So this is the site plan where we located every single tree on the site, and we placed the hotel in such a way that it weaves amongst the trees. Now, this hotel is designed in such a way that it cannot exist anywhere else because of its unique topography. So the hotel actually consists of a major block and a series of smaller villas. And we use the British, Indians, and Tibetan cultures as inspiration. But what is important for us is not really the form, but the views of the surroundings. The next project is another hotel in the southern Chinese city of Guangzhou. This is in the old granite quarry next to the lake. In China, most developers will raise the land into a flat ground for the ease of construction. But we decided to keep the terrains, and we designed the 250 keys hotel in such a way that it is spread among the existing contours as if it is like a village. So all the guest rooms enjoy a close relationship to the water, and we kept as many trees as we can. In fact, we added a lot more trees as well as mangrove plants along the edge of the water. The silhouette of the buildings is such that it follows the natural contours, so you get a very organic feel about the whole development. And we even put a spa right in the middle of the granite quarry. And this is what you see when you enter the spa. So you can never imagine that an urban hotel can be built in such a manner that it looks as if it is a resort in an exotic location. So throughout the hotel, guests are able to relate to the existing topography, and nature is brought right into the internal spaces as well. We designed a series of water features such that it appears as if the lake is flowing right into the hotel. So this idea of borrowed landscape continues in our third project. This is the W Hotel in Koh Samui in Thailand. And again, we like to make entrance very unassuming. So from the hotel entrance, you are going to enter into a different world. You are not entering into the internal volume of a lobby. You are coming into something that you know is drawing you into it. And the moment you enter the lobby, you don't see a big volume. What you see is this view that greets you. And we put a circular pool that floats above the landscape. And in a very surreal manner, it looks as if the hotel is floating above the sea. The whole idea of this is that visually it serves as a focus to draw the surrounding islands right into the lobby itself. And throughout the day, you get this changing drama of reflections on the water surface. And we design a series of sunken pools, sunken seats into the pool itself so that guests actually feels that relationship in a much more enhanced manner. But upon closer examination, you would see that the bottom of the pool has a series of skylights, and this allows the natural light to flow down into the restaurant below. So again, the restaurant becomes a place of drama, and throughout the day, you get this shifting, changing colors and changing lights. At night, the situation is reversed. You get the light from the restaurant shining up into the lobby space itself. So it is this interaction between the various spaces that becomes quite critical in the way we conceptualize architecture. So it is not the form, it is not the circular form, it is not how it looks like, but it is how guests feel when they are in all the spaces. The last project takes us to Mongolia, where it is minus 45 degrees Celsius in winter, and 45 degrees in summer. So you get a temperature range of 90 degrees. But what is amazing is this surreal landscape where we have many species of brown bears, over 200 species of birds, and many other species, remnants of this species. In fact, this is also a famous archaeological site. Now, we have inspiration to draw from. It can be from the traditional monastery architecture, or from the traditional dwellings or gears. But for us, it is this pristine landscape that is most powerful, the sense of isolation and desolation. And into this landscape, we place a very simple building, a linear building where once you are in the rooms, you see nothing else but the amazing vista of the landscape. So the whole building is about this dialogue between the meditative silence of the hotel versus the extended wilderness of the landscape beyond. Hence, you can see that we are not interested in the bricks, we are interested in the light. The tangibles of architecture do not concern us, it is the intangible that really matters. If we reduce art and architecture to mere decoration in the broadest sense, we risk a disconnection with humanity. Because in the current scramble to build iconic buildings, you get many weird-looking forms. Because icons takes time, it requires acceptance, and ultimately it demands love. So man inhabit not just a material and physical reality, we also inhabit cultural and temporal realities. So every building is intrinsically tied to its environment and history and place. Architecture is the most important externalization of human memory. We remember who we are through our constructions, whether it is the epic or the monumental, or whether it is personal and deeply private. They are all architecture. So I shall just end with a quote from one of my favorite books, The Little Prince. You can only see things clearly with your heart. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Thank you.